All right, welcome back. We're in our last 30 minutes of the show, and like I promised you, it's all matters about drill, types of drill. We're going to learn about that and, of course, laws. And we're going to have practicals, and I'm joined by a fantastic team. You might remember them from last week. Of course, all the way to my further left is Yvonne Ochok, who is a paramedic. And, of course, closer to Yvonne is Henry Odhiambo Akunda, who is also a paramedic. And, of course, closer to me is Andrew Muruka, who is the Deputy Director of Occupational Safety and Health Services. Thank you guys for making time again on this Saturday morning. We had you guys last time and we got fantastic feedback when we were talking about safety in workplaces, and more so at home when you were showing us the different CPRs. So Andrew, today it's all about drills. Yes. Talk to us about the types of drills that are there.
Thank you, Cindy. Before I talk about the types of drills, I would like to highlight the laws that relate to drills at the workplace.
Yes.
Now, Section 81, subsection 9 of the Occupational Safety and Health Act requires that every occupier must ensure that all persons employed are familiar with the routines to be followed and a means of escape in case of fire and other emergencies. That's number one. Number two, Section 89, subsection 2, requires that every occupier of a workplace has to design emergency evacuation procedures and test them at regular intervals.
Okay.
And again, when we look at the fire risk reduction rules, legal notice 2007, also requires that one of the functions of fire safety team in a workplace is to organize and conduct drills. And finally, Article 32 of the fire risk reduction rules require that every workplace must conduct drills once in every period of 12 months. Every 12 months?
Yes. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Now that we've known a few of these laws, the types of drills that are there.
Yes, thank you, Zinzi. There are several types of drills. I will start with fire drills, which is the most popular. And fire drills are actually the mother of all drills, in the sense that once you know how a fire drill is supposed to be conducted, you are able to evacuate in case of emergencies involving other types of non-fire situations. Like, for example, if there is a chemical release in a particular workplace, if there is a bomb threat, you can easily escape in case you are aware of the fire drill. So fire drills are specifically drills relating to fires that may take place within particular workplaces, and they are actually simulated to represent the actual fire or what people will actually do in case of a real fire. So it is supposed to simulate as closely as possible what is practically possible to obtain in a real fire situation. Now, the second type of drill are what we call first aid drills. Any person can get injured in any particular workplace at any time. If, for example, you are bleeding and you require immediate attention, you need first aiders. So that the response, the organization of that particular drill is what we call a first aid drill. And then we have medical drills. In the workplaces, people suffer from different ailments. Some are chronic diseases, things like diabetes, things like asthma, things like epilepsy in the workplace. So there is need for first aiders and even the entire workplace to have a drill on this so that when they occur, people do not panic and people are able to conduct themselves in the most responsible way. All
right, speaking of the most responsible way, yes, which drill are you going to be showing us today, Henry?
Drills. I will highlight a few drills that we are going to do today. Okay. I'll start by doing with the asthma, which is a key thing that happened. Letting us know what is asthma, because we all understand is the airway problem, and it has some difficulty in breathing, whereby one is wheezing sound, which shows they have been caused by a certain trigger, being exposed to a particular allergen. And in this asthma, there are some few mythical things that we need to brush off, whereby you can contract asthma by touching someone, which is no. So asthma, it's number one, being heredited. So it's from one generation to another.
Okay.
And we all need to understand that we have these causes of asthma whereby you are the triggers. I mean, you have one which can be triggered by cold, can be triggered by pollen grains, fur, and those things which are into the workplace more so. So to start with, when you get an asthma casualty, I'll use my colleague to depict an asthma situation. A casualty will be having difficulty in breathing, and once you notice they're in difficulty in breathing, number one key thing, you need to take them out of that particular place which has caused them having a difficulty in breathing. So you remove them out of danger first, and after removing them out of danger, we'll need to ask them a few questions. Number one, ask them if they have medication to this condition. So if we're going to ask my colleague if they're having any medication, you will find in asthma you must have a certain medication which is an inhaler. So let me just show you an inhaler. This is a proven inhaler, which is a blue cap inhaler. It's normally called a reliever inhaler. And in this reliever inhaler, it's meant for the casualty only. So casualty's condition is now you're going to administer this inhaler. And before administering any inhaler, you need to check, is the inhaler up to date? Don't give any expired inhaler. And then you're going to shake very well to this casualty. Remember the sitting position, supposed to sit, leaning forward and supporting themselves and encouraging your casualty to breathe in deeply and breathe out slowly, to breathe in deeply and breathe out slowly. Ask them if they have medication. It's a blue capped universal, and you need to shake it nicely, and you can assist your casualty to administer. And then you deliver up to 1 puff, so just take, assist yourself, and you deliver 1 puff, and then you encourage the casualty to hold their breath as long as they can, and then at least for 10 seconds, and then they will release up. And then you continue.
What if you find yourself in a situation where probably the person doesn't have their inhaler?
Or the inhaler. Medically, in any medication that you're going to assist, you're supposed to assist the casualty's medication. So you cannot substitute it with anything whenever they're having some asthma and difficulty in breathing. Okay. So we normally encourage, we need to identify that, and we take to hospital as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yes, so that's the key thing.
Okay.
Good.
Just addition to what you just said, at times you don't have medication with you. So what you're supposed to do with the person with difficulty in breathing, just put the person in a position of comfort, which is a sitting position. So any person with difficulty in breathing, a position of comfort is sitting and leaning slightly forward for you to be able to breathe normally.
Okay.
Yes.
Yvonne, what else do you want to show us today in regards to drills?
Okay, like at times when we organize drills, we have the triggers like medical conditions sometimes do come up. At times we get patients with cardiac emergencies, that is, cardiac is the heart. So how are you supposed to handle this emergency? What you're supposed to do, again, put them in position of comfort and do not waste any time with this individual. Make sure you call the responders, the emergency responders very fast. So what you can do with the person, maybe with cardiac emergency like heart attack, you sit the person in a W position where like you support the extremities, the lower extremities with something maybe like a pillow, and let them breathe in and out. But make sure always you remove them from danger to an area where it's safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to show us any practicals today? All right, Henry, take us through one.
Yes. I want to show you a simple practical of maybe if a casualty collapses at workplace, which is one of the key things about the drills. You normally find unconscious casualties who are just collapse. Reasons can be several reasons, either medically or non-medically. I'll take an example of now fainting. Kindly allow me to use my colleague into this practical session. So in practical session, maybe a casualty may be able to collapse. So my colleague is going to collapse here. And the key thing that you're supposed to do whenever you find a casualty who has collapsed, what are some of the key things? Number one, you need to check for danger. You need to check are you safe before you approach? Because those are medical things. So, hey, and then you call out their name. Hello, can you hear me? And then go down, tap their shoulder. Hello, can you hear me? Still, there's no any response. Up to that point, when you're at workplace, we normally recommend you must have some gloves with you, and then you put on some basic gloves before touching someone. So gloves are very essential, different designs of gloves. So you make sure you must wear your gloves.
Before performing anything.
Yes.
All right, okay.
Very essential to protect yourself from any blood or any body fluids.
Okay.
Yes, for safety reasons. So remember, gloves are a key thing. So once your gloves are on very nicely, then you can go ahead, hello, checking for response. There's still no response to this casualty. Still key thing, open the airway, then try to check for breathing to recognize, is my casualty breathing or not breathing for at least 10 seconds. Then you're going to check for their pulse, the carotid pulse, to this unconscious casualty. And once you notice that, and maybe, for example, it might be a fainting situation, what you need to do, loosen any constriction. And once you loosen any constriction, we are going to elevate the casualty's leg. Okay. Because the key thing about fainting in elevation of the casualty's leg, it's very important. When we elevate the casualty leg, it means fainting usually happens when there is insufficient blood supply to the brain.
Right.
And once we have insufficient blood supply to the brain, which means most of the brain blood has come towards the lower extremities. Okay. So when we raise and support the casualty legs, it means we allow the blood, the flow of blood back to the brain. And we normally have several myths about fainting that some of people usually practice at home. For instance, maybe pouring them water or trying to put several things to this casualty.
So pouring water doesn't work?
It doesn't work. Okay. Yes, because basically in medical we say it's insufficient blood flow to the brain. And once we have insufficient blood flow to the brain, it means all the blood have come down. And some of the things that causes fainting, number one, standing for a long period of time, exhausted, hunger also causes fainting. Right. Maybe you can make a joke. You remember in school you're being told faint so that can be bring food. Yeah, thanks.
So how long is someone supposed to stay? How long are you supposed to put their feet up?
So in elevating this foot, you're supposed to elevate within 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. That means blood should have flown back to the brain. Okay. And after 3 to 5 minutes, you really need to return the casualty feet down. And then if they are still unconscious, you'll need to put them into recovery position. But if they show some signs of recovery, you need now to sit them up gradually. Okay. Do not stand them immediately because they're still going to faint. Yes, so once they're in this position, they are not recovered, we are going to place them into a position known as recovery position. Recovery position. Yes, recovery position. I'm going to place my casualty into that position of recovery position, and then just turning them to one side, simply.
That's recovery position.
That's recovery position.
So what does that position do to the body?
This position, it opens the airway. It allows a maximum airway open to maintain good flow of air into the casualties. And then also, if the casualty decides to vomit, at least it gives them a free flow of fluids, which is a key thing. Unlike when they are lying facing up, it means if they vomit, it's going to choke your casualty. Right. So, and then in simple fainting, place them here this way, and then you wait. If in 10 minutes they have not, 10 minutes. In 10 minutes time, they still not form recovery or come back to recovery, then we need to take this casualty to hospital. Wow. Yes.
All right. So that now that's beyond someone.
That's now beyond you.
That goes to the doctor.
That goes to the doctor. Okay. Because in the underlying features, that as she has earlier said, fainting, it's blood related, so it's circulatory related. It might be something either dealing with the heart problems that needs to go to check with this casualty. Right. So if they take longer than 10 minutes, then you need to take to hospital. Okay. And in that, when now it becomes heart problems, she talked about now dealing with heart conditions.
So Andrew, now this is the medical drill.
This is a medical drill. It's specifically dealing with a medical condition or some kind of illness that may occur suddenly in a workplace. Right. And this is very important because it is like you are preparing people to be able to deal with the real situation when it occurs.
But people don't take drills seriously. Because people know it's a drill. That's the thing.
Yes, and I think there are two mistakes we make in this country. Sometimes we inform people that it is a drill. The only situation or condition when you are supposed to inform people about drills is if it is there, you are talking to new employees, or if you are going to a new workplace where you are going to occupy for the first time. That's the only time when you are supposed to actually tell people that this is a drill. There is also another place when you are dealing with a large public and it is for the first time. That is the time you need to ensure that all fire marshals in that particular workplace are actually well briefed, and they will be able to take care of all the public, so that they don't panic and they don't get injured, because most of these drills that have been poorly organized without following the building blocks of organizing a drill have resulted in disasters.
Right.
And you know some of these disasters.
Yes.
So it is to prevent these disasters, we must follow a block-wise, stepwise approach before the final drill that you say that now we are organizing a full-scale drill, which is multi-agency and multi-jurisdictional. You have to ensure that you prepare people from a seminar, take them through a workshop, take them through a table top exercise, take them through a drill, which is just testing whether a call point, for example, a call point for fire activation is working. You just want to test that. That is what we call a drill. And then you go to the functional drill exercise. Now, functional drill exercise involves ensuring that many participants are in place, and these many participants are the managers of the emergency operational center. So they actually simulate their actions within that particular center, but no resources are deployed at that particular point.
All right.
As you go through these building blocks, you leave functional, address, functional, and then now you go to the full scale. The full scale now is what now you must have three things as major components. Number one, you must plan for it. You must train people, and you must ensure that people are given responsibilities to conduct the drill. If you don't do that, you will end up with a situation whereby people get injured in the process of conducting a drill because they actually don't know what to do.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for helping us understand that, Andrew. Yvonne and Henry, you guys were amazing. I'm sure Kenyans at home have learned something new today, just as we did last week. You guys have been fantastic. Andrew, again, thank you so much for helping us understand the laws that are there and the types of drill. Fantastic team demonstrating it this morning. And of course, thank you so much for watching at home. Thank you for your time here on Weekend Express for the past 2 hours. I will see you at 11 a.m. for a quick update on news stories on News Center. All right, see you then. Bye-bye.